everyone, welcome to another episode of Hear This Now. So, tonight's episode is going to be about navigating the single life. Now, all I telling only one time, I do not have a lot of experience when it comes to dating and boyfriend girlfriend relationships and all those things. I don't really have a lot of experience. I had a boredom boyfriend once for a few months, and then soon after that, I got married. When that was over, soon after that, I got married. So I don't really have much experience with that. So tonight, I am curious to find out what my other panelists have to say. How was your experience, or how is your experience in this dating realm?
Well, for me, um, I think before 2018 or 2019, I can't remember which year it was. But before that, I didn't really plan to have a man. Like, I didn't envision my life with a man in it, right? I, you know, I envisioned that I would be a single mother, and how I went about becoming a mother is very toxic. Had I actually had dreams about going to a bar or meeting some guy and just getting knocked up and then being away with him like, I done with you, let me just get this child. Let me just have this child here. Yes, extremely very toxic, right? And stupid and whatever. But yeah, it wasn't until 2018 where I started to like really think, and I was like, wait a minute. There are times where you're going through something in life and you want someone there with you. You want someone to just, but even if it's for a hug, you want that companionship. You want that. And I started to think about, later on in life, right? Like when I'm old and gray, who's going to take care of me? Who will be my support system? My parents will most likely be dead, and I don't necessarily want to be alone. So with that in mind, I started to open up myself and started putting myself um, in positions where basically I'm just open for a relationship. I'm open for um, companionship. I'm not closed off to it. I'm not like, oh my god, no. Like I'm open to it. I'm fully open to it, and I'm also working on myself. Working on myself so that when I do become a wife, I'm not toxic. I'm not bringing in anything, but you know. So that's basically it. I just doing me.
So Shan, how was your um experience as a single person?
Um, well, like you, Jade, I also had a boredom boyfriend, and that was at graduation. And I'm telling you right now, I really did not like the boy, so I don't know what I was doing.
Same.
It had to be that I was bored, right? And then that lasted like 2 months or something. But I was never really looking for no. Well, I knew I wanted to get married and have a family and all of that. But to say I was actively looking for a boyfriend or whatever, no, that was never really me. And then, well, got boyfriend, and I was like, I'm not even thinking about marriage yet. I was just like, you know what? Let me just see what's going to happen here. I mean, he there, we could go out, watch a little movie, eat ice cream, kind of thing. It's only at my later 20s that I started to think about this, okay, boyfriend leading to marriage kind of thing. That's when I started to think about it. And yeah, so that really is my experience right now.
right, Aaron? What is your experience as a single man?
Well, my experience is real short, right? I enjoy life and I eat from life's fruits. Simple.
So, in other words, it was for the streets.
Maybe, maybe not. The viewers do with that information how they feel like.
Oh Lord. Alright, well, since we are on the topic of past relationships, boredom boyfriends, situationships, all these different things, um, how do you heal from prior relationships? Because I mean, I didn't have to heal from my situationship, but somebody like Aaron who has had them all, how do you heal from prior relationships?
Well, first thing first, what you do is you work on yourself. And well, basically you started to improve your own life and you realize that, hey, as you seen, you can't keep doing this thing over and over and over because that's insanity, right? You understand what I'm saying? So basically you do everything that make you feel better about yourself. You get in touch with yourself emotionally, and I using that term real likely with the in touch with yourself emotionally thing. You process things. You take time to enjoy your single life, and then yeah, you just basically get over it as time go along. You just keep working on yourself. It's a constant journey, so to speak.
Well, I think. Oh, sorry, my setup kind of shifty today. I think, you know, just to be clear, the question was, how do you heal from past relationships, right? Right. So for me, I think forgiveness is a very big thing. I think acknowledging, um, first of all, you have to be very real with yourself. Okay. You have to realize, all right, this thing is over. All right. It makes no sense holding on. And learning how to forgive not just the other person, but also yourself. I think a lot of times when we think about, oh, forgiveness or whatnot is usually towards another person or the person who has done you harm. But sometimes you could be the person that you need to forgive. Maybe you were that person in the relationship who was the antagonist, right? Maybe you were the toxic one or whatnot. And in order to move forward, you have to learn to forgive yourself. You have to learn to forgive the other person, both for the parts you both played in the relationship, in the ending of that relationship. Um, First of all, that's my main one, forgiveness. Another one is repenting, right?
Mm.
So sometimes we say to ourselves, "Oh yes, I forgive myself. I forgive this person, whatnot, whatnot," and then we go on, and then we go on to the next relationship, and then we make the same mistakes. And I think true repentance is something where you not only acknowledge where you have done wrong, but also make a valued effort to not make the same mistakes, right? So it's kind of like you're learning and saying, all right, I'm done with this. Let me, I'll leave in from this sin. I'm moving myself, I'm removing myself from this sin, and I'm moving forward, right? As Aaron said earlier, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, right? And I think if you don't repent, you'll be insane. You um and I guess the last thing I think is just to be patient. It for some people it's easy to just let stuff go and heal and move on and whatnot, but maybe you're not that person. Sometimes one day you're just happy and then the next day you're sad. One day you're joyful and then or one moment you're joyful and the next moment you're crying on TikTok. Like it's a process. You understand what I'm saying? It's a process, and just take your time with it. Don't rush it. Trust me, do not rush it, because you'll never get what you fully need to get out of it. That's all I have. What about Olin?
True, because well, you actually took my whole point of forgiveness, right? My first thing, if we need to heal from prior relationships, first of all, we have to acknowledge, this is my opinion. We have to get real with ourselves and we have to acknowledge the fact that okay, yes, we actually enjoyed this person at some point. And you all could correct me if I'm wrong or if it's something like craziness, right? But first, we have to acknowledge the good memories that we had, and we have to thank God for them and then keep it pushing. So it's like, okay, I enjoyed John and we had some good times, but you know what? Me and John not together no more. All right, I have to make sure I realize that and accept that for myself, first of all. Second of all, as Krista said, forgiveness, right? Forgive your ex for their wrongdoings. Forgive yourself for any wrongdoings that you may have done. And sometimes we may feel a sense of regret or a sense of disgust that we were even with this person. You understand? And we have to forgive ourselves for that choice as well. Because let's say you got with somebody who you knew was not even good for you in the first place, and then it turned out to be a toxic situation. And then you're telling you and this person finish, and then you're telling yourself, well, oh my gosh, why was I with this person? And I can't believe I was actually with that person. And because these are things that people go through, not so? And so Aaron is saying no. But anyhow, and so therefore, if you feel a sense of regret or disgust that you were even with this person in the first place, forgive yourself, ask God to take away all of those negative and painful memories, and cast cast that burden upon him and move on with your life.
Yeah, I agree with everything that all of you said. Those were actually my points also. I also want to add to think about, don't reminisce, really, because when you do that, you just continue thinking about what it was and what I do wrong and how I could make it better. When it's not only you alone in the relationship, it's you and someone else. So it's not just what I could do better, because then you're just beating up yourself. And you will never move on because you keep thinking back on this past relationship and you're not moving on to think about anything else. And then now you go into a new relationship and you bring that old relationship with you, and now that relationship is not going to work because it's two different people here. You was the same person. Well, you're not supposed to be the same person, but you understand what I'm saying. So you don't reminisce on it. You let yourself grieve. Of course, it was somebody you love them, wherever you feel sad, but you don't stick on it. And like Krista said, you don't go publicly crying to look for attention, because that's not how you do it. Yeah.
And some people will differ with the fact that you all said you don't go publicly crying, eh?
So
They
what
will
is the
say,
purpose of
no,
publicly crying?
I was just about to ask that question.
some people believe that the purpose of publicly crying is to help others in their journey, but that's a different talk for a different time. All right, so guys, what about you? You confusion.
Yeah, because I don't know how me looking at you cry over your relationship is going to help me in any way. I might just be laughing at you, if not helping me.
And here's the thing: there are some channels or whatever where people will document things that they're going through, but as in like they will say, okay, well, I went through this today, and sometimes this can happen, and they will explain it. But if you're just on the internet crying, what comes of that? For me, in
Exactly.
my
One
opinion, it just seems as though you're serving yourself under the guise of serving others.
True,
go on cry in
true.
front of your therapist.
And but YouTube and Facebook and TikTok apparently is their therapist.
Okay, cool.
All right, so let's get down to um the nitty gritty of single life. Sexpectations. What are let me not ask that question. I'm going to ask what are some of your expectations, but I want to get into all that with all today. When do you think it is wise to bring up? Like you are in a dating relationship, in a courting relationship. And for those who don't know what dating and courting is, what is the difference between dating and courting? Let's see about that first and then we will go on to these expectations. What is the difference?
Dating is when, like, if you feeling out more than one person, you're just going out with them and spending time with them, getting to know their personality and stuff. Courting is when you know you want to get married too.
I agree.
I agree.
So okay, if I'm dating you, it means that I wouldn't know whether or not I want to marry you.
Basically.
Yes, like you're trying it out to see what
You're
happens.
dating, you're just having a little fun and
But
thing.
courtship is more like, all right, two people coming together with both having the intention of marriage.
Okay, so once you know that you are in this to get married, it means that you are courting.
Or as in you personally want to get married and that person personally want to get married or be married, sorry, and they come together, that's it. They are having a courtship. They are courting,
Is
right?
dating wrong?
I mean, I don't find so. I think it
I
have a
think
time and
so.
place, but
What was the question?
if
If it
dating is
Is
start
date
off dating and go on into courting,
I don't think dating wrong, but some people just take it too far. Like you're dating five and six people and you're also having sex with those six people. I think people just take it too far. But nothing wrong with dating.
true, but some people will say some that things wrong with dating, eh? Because come on, we have all heard in like church or whatever where they say things like um no you have to go into every relationship with the expectation of getting married.
really, I
Yes.
don't agree with that at all. Mm.
From the time you tell yourself, hey, I looking for a boyfriend, you can't just date to see you can't just date to see what to feel out the situation. You have to make sure that this is your husband, this is your wife, and yeah, that's the only time we're getting together.
Nah, that
Let
that
me ask
that
a
that I
question,
really
right?
won't, you know.
Let me
and
ask a
maybe
question
yeah, go
as
ahead.
Jay just said what she just said here, right? How much churches does sit down the young people in the church and ask them about what they're looking for in a relationship and thing? How much churches only think they do that?
Almost none. I don't know. I'm the wrong person to ask.
I I never see a church ask that.
You sure right? Dating somebody's feeling them out.
You run.
I just seen what everybody thinking and what everybody was saying.
Anyhow, so on the topic of feeling them out, we're going back to sexpectations. Now, okay, this is my thing, right? I think I think in your dating or your courting. Okay, so from now on we just using the word courting, right? From now on that we just using the word courting. I think in your courting relationship, the earlier you talk about sex is the better, right? Now, I didn't say the earlier or you have sex the better. Eh? I said the earlier you talk about sex is the better.
Why?
So
Why? Why? Why?
because if I am okay, so if I'm courting you, right,
Mm,
and I tell myself, all right, this is my future husband, then I have to know what you expect when it comes to our bedroom life, and you have to know what I expect when it comes to our bedroom life. For example, and this is a real example, yeah, yours truly did not want a man of the same sexual stature as I,
what?
which means
What?
I did not want a virgin man. I'm just being real with you all. I'm just being real with you all. Okay? So that was one of my expectations. Because in this holy sanctity, this holy gift that God has given us, somebody had to know what we're doing,
I
right?
see your point.
Somebody had
I
to
see your
know.
point.
Somebody had to know what we do. And so therefore, yes, and so therefore, that was it. That was it for me. Me. That's a red flag. No, I joke. I joking. I joking. But yes, so we have to talk about what we expect without shaming the other about their thoughts and their perceptions and their expectations, because it doesn't make sense trying to shame somebody if you all know that you're going to get married at some point, then this is a very important part of marriage and you need to speak about it. And you can't tell
True.
the person, well, you want to swing from the ceiling and I just find I must lie down on the bed, and so therefore I'm going to shame you for swinging on the ceiling, because then when both all you get married, it will have plenty tension in that whole scenario.
Okay.
So when do you all think you should talk about your expectations?
I
I
think you
I
should
agree
talk
with you.
about it. Not right away for me. I think you should talk about it at least after a month or 2 months or something. But um, some people just change their mind and things. So like they will say one thing before the marriage, and then after the marriage, it's like they want something else. Is that grounds for divorce? So like if before the marriage is or you don't talk about one thing and then all of a sudden you want to go swing a party and okay, nice grounds for divorce.
oh Lord Father.
I mean, I would say so. If it's a swinger party, then yes, it's grounds for divorce, in my opinion.
I actually agree with Aisha because I don't think it should be. I think it should be early on, but not super early. Like I agree with her any time frame of like a month or 2 months type of thing. And then I don't think it should just be one conversation. right? I think it should be an ongoing conversation of, all right, so where you at this month? Well, just to check in and see where the other person is at in their thinking.
But I think where you're at this month will more happen when you get married, because
If,
I mean, ideally,
if you Mhm.
go ahead, Isha.
I was saying, if you talk about it right away, it might come across as if the person just wants sex.
No, well, when I say as soon as possible, I just mean early in the relationship. Like if we decide that we are going to be in a courtship, it means that I know you to a certain extent, because it's only crazy people will jump into a relationship with somebody they get in to know like that and then be like, all right, boom, we caught in. You understand? So if I know you and we decide, all right, so we turn in this dating relationship into a courtship, then I'm going to discuss these things with you.
Yeah,
You
I agree.
understand?
I
Okay,
mean, you do
okay,
it
okay.
early.
I understand what you're saying now. I understand what
You
you're
do
saying
it
because I
early
thought
enough,
you meant,
and also great to see
When you put it like that, yeah.
conversation.
yeah, because I thought you meant, all right, we just decided we're courting one time, and then right as we courting, let's talk about sex. I thought that's what you meant, but now I
No.
understand. Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, you wouldn't court somebody you barely know. How you know that you want to marry this person?
I said the first 3 months. The 3 months being the maximum if you're courting somebody. And the reason why I say that for, well, I talking from the male point of view, right? If we at the point where like you say that, hey, we courting and whatever the case may be, right? And then you sort of talk about sex, and I realize that when you sort of talk about sex, you're putting me to shame. Bet your bottom dollar, I ain't thinking about courting you no more. I just thinking more one thing.
When you say putting you to shame, what do you mean?
I mean that the person, the female, because I'm talking from a male's
males.
perspective, the female showing that she more sexually explicit than I am, right? Or not explicit, advanced. Let me use advanced, right? She more sexually advanced than I am, right? And you're open to talk about it very comfortably, easy, easy, easy. That's just me, right? Yeah, alarm does just go off in my brain one time. I been real honest with you.
You mean as if she just commented and be like, well,
Yeah,
I used to do
yeah,
this and this and this, and
yeah,
I used to
yeah,
do
yeah,
this
like
and
that. I don't know, but is you see, there's something about the little Miss Sweet that just get me like, yeah, I could do that, but don't outshine me now, man. It don't work like that.
Okay, so which means if you for the streets, she must be for the pavement. Not joking.
No, no.
She must be inside.
Yeah, she must be inside. She must have she chastity belt, everything. With she Bible and holy water and olive oil right there.
I find all spicy tonight. I find tonight you all have no behavior. But anywho, right. So okay, yes, early on in the relationship or early on in the courtship,
but wait,
we should we all agree that we should talk about our
I have a
expectation.
question though.
Mm.
When, okay, typically, I don't know, but when would you know when you want to court somebody? Like at what stage of the dating? Because we're saying, all right, we're going from dating to courtship to then possible marriage. So where along that line do you know? All right, I would like to court this person. Is there a usual a average time frame that you would know by, or is it like just dependent upon the specific people?
For me, I would
I
say
think it's
depending on the
dependent on
person's
you
character.
and the person.
Okay.
Sean, go ahead.
I would say just like what you're saying, depending on, I don't think it has a timeline to say, okay, 3 months and then another 3 months and then another 3 months. It doesn't work like that. To me, it's like you have to know within yourself and within yourself in the relationship when it is time, when you think it's time, okay, I think it's time for us to move on to the next part of this now. We are going to start courting. But you and your next person have to agree because you courting and
Yeah.
them dating, I don't,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
going
yeah, yeah.
to have to come together that this is what we would like to do together.
Yes.
The only slight difference with me concerning it is that yeah, I does like to, when it comes to relationship and when people feelings and emotions involved, I tend to, yeah, let me go along with this. Let me take me time. We ain't want to rush nothing because my mentality, and well, it all have to do with how I grew up. Certain times when I feel like I rush in something, it feels like it to me, I personally just feel like I'm being forced into something, and I don't want to think and feel that way. Because if I think and I feel that way, I'm going to mash it up. I just being honest with you. So the only difference with me is I will wait a little while. Yeah, even though I like your personality and your qualities and whatever the case may be, I will still say, hey, here's the scene. Let me slow down a little bit. Let me slow down a little bit because personally I don't want to have the mindset that hey, I've been forced into this and I'm forcing something because I'm not going to make it work.
Okay.
All right, okay. So how do you all feel that a person's love style affects the relationship? And is love styles even important when it comes to dating and courting?
Are you speaking about love languages?
Love style is very important.
Why does Aisha think love style is very important? Oh yes, Crystal,
Because
love languages.
if you don't understand how your person does receive love and feel love, then it's kind of like it'll be like you're all or nothing tune with each other, and then you might want to like give the person real gifts because okay, she will feel loved by real gifts. When she just wants attention, physical touch, but she ain't getting that from you. Because you think you could just be share a gift and then be gone for the whole day. Pressure there.
I agree with Isha.
Yeah, I agree with Aisha too. For all those who don't know, yes, we were talking about love languages, and there are five love languages. We have acts of service, physical touch. Well, let me just explain what these are, unless basically they basically speak for themselves. So acts of service,
They talk about themselves.
yeah,
Yeah.
acts of service, physical touch, quality time, receiving gifts, and words of affirmation. Now, my love languages are quality time, physical touch, and words of affirmation. But I truly believe that sometimes your love languages change dependent on what you prioritize at that time.
I know good to
So,
say that.
uh,
I've experienced that as well.
tell us your experience, Krista.
Well,
And then
before I
if
do,
Shan wants to
before I
add,
do, I would like to just answer your previous question. I think that sometimes, I'm not saying this is for everybody, but from what I've noticed, is that people often display their own love languages. You know, like if I like words of affirmation, I find that I compliment my friends, or I would big up my friends and my family a lot more. Like I will express what my main or whatever my love languages are at the time. And yes, my main love languages last time I checked, I think it ranked words of affirmation at first, if I'm not mistaken. Um And that's what I mean by experience. Like the first time I took the test, I think my top love languages were quality time, acts of service, and then words of affirmation and physical touch, and then receiving gifts. But now, it is words of affirmation first, quality time second, acts of service third, physical touch, and then receiving gifts.
So I could actually talk about a relationship I was in where I at that point, well, through all my relationships was quality time, right? That was always number one. So I wanted quality time, but he would only bring gifts. So every time he come, he bring a little chocolate, a little flower, a little something. But that actually caused tension because you can't say that you feel a certain way about me and you're not spending time with me. I would not know that. You understand? And I knew what his love language was without him even telling me because I knew about love languages. And I used to show him that. So he always felt it. But it was not reciprocated. So, that was a tension kind of thing going on there. So I can attest to that love language thing being very important and knowing what it is and how to display that to your partner so that they will actually feel the love that you also.
Just to ask you a quick question. Did you tell him what your love language was? Like, did he
Yes.
actually? Oh, so he just didn't care.
No, he just didn't go along with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's also important then. Like, yes, it's cool to acknowledge your love languages and whatnot, but actually being with somebody who is willing to love you or
Exactly.
give you love the way that you want to receive it and vice versa, I think that's really, really important. Otherwise, don't talk about it.
When I realized that things were going a certain way, we actually had the conversation. That's how he found out what it was, but then, it was kind of one sided. Yeah.
Sucky men.
Navigating, navigating the single life.
We,
Mm.
Aaron, what are your love languages?
Acts of service, physical touch, receiving gifts, and fighting for last place is words of affirmation and quality time.
You see, Olia actually went and do over the test and stuff.
I didn't
yeah.
I
do over
just,
nothing. I didn't do over
I only
nothing.
did it over twice, like, well, once, because the first time when, we all did it. And then I did it a second time later on, like a
I
year ago.
I I just being honest with you, the more I grow up is the less I feel like being around anybody, to be real honest with you. No, that is just the truth in it. I actually just get really annoyed with people these days. So to prevent certain things from happening and everybody around here who know me know me. So I prevent certain things from happening by staying away from it.
so in other words, my introvertness has rubbed off on you.
Precisely.
But I am actually seeing that change in Aaron's love language for real, because I would say that these days his main love language and my main love language is quality time. We just want to spend quality time constantly with each other. And yeah, I think my second love language is physical touch because I like to smell people. I don't like hugs. I don't like hugs, but if you if you see me go up to somebody and just smell them, like I smell my nieces.
I feel
I
you. Listen, you're not alone. Go ahead. Go ahead.
wait, smell is a love language. I smell my nieces I smell my husband. I don't smell everybody else because that's weird.
The people that you love, right? Or is it just
Yes.
those? No.
No, the people that I love. Like I will. The main part of the I like to smell your hair, so I would just stick my nose in there.
I like to
And I
smell people
can't.
too, but I
Yeah.
don't have to necessarily be going up to you. Like I will smell your scent just standing next to you, and I wouldn't have to touch it. Physical touch is the last on my list, and I could smell it from afar. I'd rather go up to you to smell it. I will only go up to you to smell it if in one way personally and we had a relationship. Other than that, I don't really want you touching me. Absolutely.
But yeah, I don't really like hugs like that, but I like to smell people's hair. I have no idea why. I would just stick my nose in your head and be like, yes.
I am more of a neck, and don't judge me, eh? Don't judge me.
And
Armpit person.
armpits, yes.
Like if you just do this, right? Just know that my nose going up in you.
Oh gosh, Krista.
I
Only
smell only
only
hair
thing
already
that
too, you know,
way,
all you don't know.
only thing that way, I just
The
see
only time,
in the
No.
go ahead, Isha.
little
Say that over here, sure?
only thing that way, I just see skin, like I see shoulders and just need to lick shoulders.
You real weirdo.
The only time I could really say that I like to smell hair is if the girl have on her natural hair. Um, I hate how weed does smell. I
Smell
really
like
and
that.
honestly hate how weed does smell. You see
Thank
the
God
kind
we
of
don't have
natural
weed.
oils that the natural people like the natural wearing people like to put in the hair.
The
You see
product.
that is what I like. You see weave, I go forward with you for some weave. Don't put your weave in my mouth. Don't put your weave in my nose because we go fall out and we go fall out bad too.
Oh my goodness. But yes, I smell everybody on this panel. I smell all the hair already. Yeah, don't beat them. Um,
Only how we get here? How we get here?
yes, so love languages. Right. Moving on. What are some of the lies that I was going to say we as single people? You know what? We. What are some of the lies that we as single people believe? Because I think we believe a lot of lies, eh? Like in our single times.
Hmm.
How to phrase this question? Because I can't say our.
All here.
In only single times. And in the times when we were also single, we believe
Mm-hmm.
some serious lies. Like, okay, for instance, some people believe that if I am single, then there's a problem.
Oh, I've heard that one.
It depends.
What do you mean?
Well, for a woman, if you're single but men only having sex with you, then there's a problem.
Well, they didn't say I am the problem if I'm
I
single. They didn't
never
say
said I am in the usual, I'm in the universal you. And then if he's a male and you're single, then you really have a problem
why.
because you going through life and nobody like you.
I mean, it's not that they don't like them, it's just that they're single.
But I
I
think
said what
like
I said.
no, but I think like the lie is that well, not me because I never believe that. Um, the lie is you're telling yourself, well, nobody like me. I'm single. I've been out here and I'm single. I'm single, and nothing has come of it, so something must be wrong with me. I think that's what you're saying, Aaron, or no?
Well, it all boils it all along the line of that.
Mm.
You're single all this time, so nobody ain't like you. You
Yeah,
understand my
well,
point?
I mean, I can understand that because I know somebody who she is going to be 30 this year and she's never had a boyfriend. But I, yes, Crystal. But you see, I don't like to, I believe that if they believe that if they're single, there's a problem, then that is a lie. Because fullness of joy only comes from God, anyhow you take it. And whether you are 60 or 16, your joy and your worth is found in God. You understand? So it by the world's standards, they may judge you and say, yes, something is wrong with you. But in the eyes of our Lord, that's
Okay,
not true.
I get that,
I
right?
mean,
But
Jay, with all due respect, right? We ain't dating the Lord. And since we're talking about courting, um,
I kind of get what Jade is saying, and I agree. I think for me, where the lie becomes a truth is if it's something you desire and you've been in relationships, or you know, um, you've had a desire to be in a relationship of either because of fear or whatnot. You're just not, like, something is stopping you from being in a relationship. I think that is where the truth becomes, sorry, that's where the lie becomes the truth. Because if you're content, cool, like there's not like, if you're content, you're joyous, like joyful, sorry, like, not like, that's fine. But if it's that you're longing to be in a relationship, or you're taking on society that tell you, hey, you need to be in a relationship, or whatever the case may be, and it's not true joy, it's not true contentment, then that is where the lie becomes the truth. I hope that was clear.
Yeah. And then this is my thing too. In your single season, you have to really look and evaluate and say, okay, what can I do in this time in my life that I probably wouldn't have time for when I am married?
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy being in every season of life. There's a time for everything, and God will make everything beautiful in its time, right? Because you will be telling yourself, oh my gosh, something wrong. I am 30 and I'm not married, or I'm 35 and I'm not married. Something has to be wrong with me. But you don't know if you, let's say you got married when you were 25, you probably would not have been able to accomplish everything that you can accomplish right now. If I am to fly out to Italy to study operatic vocal training, you know how much thing I have to do before I do that? Where you know, as a single person, can just hop on a plane and do what you have to do.
Makes sense. I hear you. Yeah.
So these are the things that we need to, reflect on. Also, how are you preparing yourself for marriage? You're taking on and you're saying, oh my gosh, I need a boyfriend or I need a girlfriend. How are you preparing yourself for marriage? Right? What are the weak areas in your life that you think you need to work on before you get married?
Exactly. Exactly.
But you have to know what those are in the first place.
Yeah.
You don't know what those
Introspection.
are, which is why you enjoy your season of singleness. You enjoy it because at some point you will learn what your weaknesses are and what your strengths are and what could you carry into your marriage, or what you should not carry into your marriage.
Precisely. Another lie is my man or my woman will complete me.
Nah, complete yourself. Complete yourself. When you are whole, you are a whole person who's supposed to be going to meet another whole person to make a wholer person. Nobody could
Correct.
complete you like that. I see
I
Jesus.
I completely agree. We need to seek spiritual and emotional wholeness or fulfillment from God we even before we get married. Now, because I don't want to say before you even look to get married, but I mean, because that could happen whilst you're dating, that could happen whilst you're courting, like whilst you're single, that can happen. So I want to be very specific, but to there's certain lessons because I'm going through this right now. Eh? I am seeking spiritual and emotional wholeness right now in my single season. Um, because I do have that desire to get married. I do have that desire to have a successful marriage, a healthy marriage. And if I just say, all right, let me look to get married right now and meet some guy and get married, there are things inside of me that could cause that relationship to become toxic. And yes, I may have sense, but sometimes when you move in emotion, you don't really use logic. And I just want a happy marriage. And I think if marriage is your goal, like your end goal for your life, yes, enjoy your single season, discover everything that you possibly can about yourself, the good, the bad, the ugly, and deal with it, work on it. It's not going to be easy. Sometimes you just, what is it, eat that frog? Sometimes you just have to look at this ugly thing that is inside of you and say, okay, let me work on this. Let me fix this because I know this could hurt somebody. So I don't agree with that is definitely a lie that people believe. That's definitely a lie.
Yeah. And we also need to understand that marriage and dating is not where love is found. A lot of people, on the topic of being complete, a lot of people think that, okay, I will find love in this relationship and I will find love when I get married. But that is simply not true. You have to be so full of love that you bring that into your relationship. You bring the love. You don't find the love in the relationship. You bring the love. Because a relationship of any kind is supposed to be about giving more than receiving. You understand? So to go on to like more reflections, do you feel desperate to have someone in your life to feel special, loved, or wanted? And what can you do to not feel that way? We need to reflect on that as well. If you feel desperate in your current circumstance, what can you do to not feel that way? But for real, what can you do to not feel desperate in your single circumstance?
Occupy your time with something else. Get a job.
Get some hobbies.
Get go and watch a
Talk to
movie by yourself.
God.
Do something lime.
Desperation means you just choose the first thing that comes in front of you because you're desperate. You're not even going to think about it. You're not even going to say, I don't know this person really, whatever. Whatever, you're desperate. The first person who come and tell you anything, that's the first person who you're going with because you are desperate. You're not thinking about what you're doing. You could probably be looking at this person and that person's face is a red flag, but you're desperate and you just run into it. So find something to do. Find a hobby, learn to play the guitar or go and do
Guys,
adventure sports or something. find what you
Hmm.
like to do and go and do it. And you never know, maybe in doing that, somebody might actually like you there and you could work on that. Don't just choose because you want somebody now.
I would say get comfortable with yourself, as in, yes, all those activities, but spend some quality time with yourself, right? Get to, like, as we were saying earlier, seek spiritual wholeness, fulfillment from God. Talk to God. Rest your cares onto Him. Let Him know how you are feeling and to actually allow Him to actually help you and heal you. Because when you, as Shan said, when you move in that spirit of desperation, you, the first thing that look at you, the first thing that smell you, the first thing that talk to you, you're looking to pick up, and that may not be the right thing for you.
And then too, when you move in that spirit of desperation, you will stay single for longer. You will definitely stay single for longer. But then our next question, I want to know, how do you even know when you are in that desperate stage or headspace?
I think some people they just say it. They say, I desperate, yes, anything right now. People is actually say it.
I think for some
They don't have
people, oh, sorry, go ahead, Sean, finish your thought.
go ahead, no, 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 go ahead.
Oh, okay. I think, and this is actually another lie. I just want to add one another lie that people believe, right? I think society has this thing where they say after or when you reach 30, you're old. And I think that's specific for women. Like they say, oh, when you're coming up to that 30 age, or when you reach 30, or if you're past 30, that's it for you, done, donezo. You
Hmm.
know, it's over for you. And so that also, I think, for some women, I can't speak for men, I don't know. But for some women, that also makes them feel like, oh my God, anything, just as long as I reach 30 and a single.
True, true. And also on the topic of what to do to not feel desperate or whatever the case is. When between that period of me coming out of that situationship and getting with Aaron, as a single person, I was having so much fun. I would go out with friends and I would, and well, this is time where you're old enough to go online and thing and reach back home late and all of that. You know, you turn 18, you break away. I used to go online with my friends and just have a grand time, and I used to enjoy myself and do all kind of crazy kooky young people stuff. And yeah, so I don't know. I don't get the whole I must have a man to complete me. I don't get that. Or I must have a woman to complete me. I don't, I can't. Mm-mm.
It didn't even make sense.
Exactly. Another thing that we should ponder on is, or reflect on, I should say, is do you feel depressed or broken when your expectations from the opposite sex go unfulfilled? Because you want this person to complete you. So, wouldn't it lead to depression and brokenness when they don't fulfill those needs of completing you?
Is
Also,
that yeah? Because you
Wait,
were
that was a separate
depending on
question.
them
We answering
to
that
complete
question, or
you
you
so
want
that if
something
it
else
don't
after?
work, it will make you depressed.
Aisha was saying, you and Aisha kind of get,
No, I was asking if I could answer the question, but then it sounded like you was gonna ask another question after.
Oh no, I was just saying that the things that we need to reflect on. So yes, do you often look for validation from the opposite sex? Because you're
No,
so
that sounds like a
wonderful.
red flag to me.
Huh,
Ain't nobody got to do that.
exactly. Nobody have time for that. Nobody at all. Unless, well, as we said, you're desperate. And if you think of yourself as garbage, you will attract flies.
Or just straight up garbage.
So another lie that singles believe is marriage is my calling.
I,
I know some people who think marriage is their calling.
no, I need more context to that.
Yeah, explain that because me ain't
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
understand what I mean.
We need to get over the idea that marriage is the ultimate end goal. End goal, sorry. Some people obsess about marriage so much that they lose focus of their lives purpose, causing great damage to themselves and others. So they believe that marriage is their calling. They obsess over it so much and they think that marriage is the ultimate end goal. So much so that they don't have time for their personal growth. But God didn't call us on this earth to be married. So how can marriage be the ultimate end goal? Marriage could be the end goal of your relationship with your significant other.
I agree with that. I feel like the ultimate
Yeah.
end goal is to become a son of God.
Exactly.
So that one not really making sense to me. Like it's the first time I'm hearing it actually. So I'm very, but
Yeah,
no, that doesn't make no sense to me.
that's why it's a lie because most lies don't really make sense either.
And why it's because the way you're explaining it, it sounds like if they're just consumed with the thought or the goal of getting married, and it's like, but what about God?
Exactly.
What about your relationship with God? And first of all, you need that relationship with God to have the relationship with your significant other, to have grace for that person, to have, so that one I make it,
Yep.
that's a definite lie.
Thank you, Krista. Thank you. You understand? We need to find out what our calling is. Once you find that out, look for the person who shares the similar purpose or shares a similar purpose so that you can both do what God has called you to do.
So, with in accordance to what you're saying there, we are talking about unequally yoking with someone. We can talk about your calling and somebody else's calling. Is that where we go on to, be unequally yoked?
Well, we'll get to that unequally yoked lie soon.
Oh, it's one of those two. Okay.
Yeah, you don't mean tough. You don't mean tough. You
We
understand?
dissecting these
It
lies, we
just
going
sounds
in
like
on these lies.
to be just tied in so nicely right there. What you said.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that one because I think the unequally yoked lie is a big one that a lot of folks believe. Like, whew. But anyhow, so yes, what we should reflect on. Have you ever thought, what is the vision for my life? What is God calling me to do? That is important for us to reflect on because marriage definitely is not the ultimate end goal. And you know what is a dangerous thing about thinking that marriage is the ultimate end goal? You see, when you're in the marriage and the marriage did not meet your expectations, pressure in the whole camp. And what are the steps that you need to take in order to prepare yourself for God's calling on your life? take them thing on, right? Study those things. Another one. They are such. This person is such a nice person. This is what they are telling themselves, right? They are such a nice person that even though they don't believe in Jesus, they came to church with me, and after marriage, I can get them saved.
You
What?
cannot change anybody. You cannot change that person. You cannot get somebody saved. That is the spirit of the Lord will lead them to that. You can't do it. And if you go into a relationship expecting that, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Like, really.
And like, I don't understand why people think that they can change some like that. You can't change, as Shannon said, you cannot change anyone. They have to desire that change for themselves. You can't force God upon anybody because he don't even force himself upon anybody, right? So you like that, that makes no sense. Now if you introduce them, okay, cool, but don't go into, oh, I'm bringing this man to church and he go change for me. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes. It don't work, Ashan. It doesn't work like that. It does not work
I,
like that
I
at
feel like
all.
there are many testimonies you could get from people who are now single that they had a man and they bring him to church and they probably got married to him expecting him to come to church with them and be saved and so on, and it didn't happen. And then now they are single again because you cannot change somebody. That's a personal choice.
So is this
Exactly.
the is this the unequally yoked line? Or it has something juicier in the wait in the waiting for us.
It has one. It has one. I think the others are also tied into the unequally yoked.
Okay.
You
Okay.
will hear the essence of unequally yokedness in the others as well, right?
But here it is
I
now. Let me ask a question, right? And they can
mm,
be unequally yoked in church too.
I find like Aaron have my lies, and
Oh,
let me go on to that one. Let me go on to that one. He or she goes to church, so they are a believer. That is the biggest lie. He or
That
she
is a
goes to church, so they are they are a believer.
That's that
even
that and that's
demons
a damn
believe
lie.
and they
Gotcha.
tremble. Even demons believe and tremble. So going to church don't mean nothing. It don't mean a
exactly.
thing.
It are plenty church people who ain't know nothing.
Thank you.
They just hear what the pastor say and just go with it.
Thank
And
Or
you.
they
they don't
just
even
feel
take
like
it to some.
there's no more than you.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
they jumping up on the worship team, right? They jumping up on the worship team. They in all the activities. They have fervor and they excited for the things of God.
you for Christ don't miss them.
But when you're home, but when you're home is a different issue because he hitting you or she hitting you. And when you're home, they verbally abusing you. You
Hmm,
understand?
Mhm.
hmm.
This person is living a totally
Double life.
double life. You're excited for the things of God, you know. You're excited for the things of God. But you are a liar, a manipulator, a gaslighter,
Ooh,
all these
yes.
different things.
Ooh, yes. Ooh. That's when it is in the body
This
bar.
and here's the thing, right? Being a Christian isn't just going through the motions or doing exactly what Christians are supposed to do or what you think Christians are supposed to do. So it's not just, oh, well, he goes to church, or I go to church, so I'm a Christian. Oh, I'm on the worship team, so I'm a Christian. Oh, I read the Bible, so I'm a Christian.
Hmm.
It's It goes deeper than that.
Exactly.
And to just say, oh well, I feel like sometimes that could tie into the whole desperation thing as well. Like you so want a Christian man, so it's like, oh my God, he's in church. Let me snatch that one up. Not even take into consideration. Okay, so what is his relationship with God? Does he talk to God? Does he
Yeah, well,
know God?
that's the thing too, Krista. They didn't want a Christian young man, they wanted a church boy.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
You
That's it.
understand? They didn't want a follower of Jesus, they wanted a church boy. So from the time, and then you see there are a lot of young Christian women who are so desperate because, as we know, they believe marriage is their calling. You understand? So there
Mm-hmm.
are a lot of Christian young women who are so desperate, and a lot of Christian young men who are so desperate, and dare I say, horny,
Yes. Yes.
that the first girl or the first man that tell them something nice or could pray in tongues
Hmm.
or could lift up the most chairs when they clearing out for Christmas dinner.
What?
Right? Krista, you know that side of church.
You know, you know.
Right? That's the first one. That's the first one they run to. And then bam, you're living a dual life. Bam. We fight Saturday, and the fight was real bad, but we had to come to church Sunday smiling.
But here this too. Ain't it the pastor? Ain't some of the pastors' fault that is be preaching godly arranged marriages?
Listen, them could believe anything they feel like believing, as far as I'm concerned. Right? They could believe anything they feel like believing. I am just saying that people need to do better.
Yeah,
People,
but you have to understand too that with these youths and them go get certain ideas in their head just so unless somebody hammer it in their head.
I mean, you're talking truth. So,
Yeah.
you
Can I share
understand?
a lie? Can I share a lie? Because I
Go
just got
ahead.
one. All right. Some people believe that God cannot use them unless they are married. They
That
say
is a
when
good one.
listen. I I actually had heard this before, and it was when I was, really, really young, right? And I heard it in passing. But I just want to thank God that I didn't hook on to that because I feel like that would also tie into why, some people get desperate for marriages because they feel as though, hey, God can't use me unless I have this other person with me, or I can't experience XYZ with God unless I am married. And I think I'm fortunate enough that I never took on. I heard it, dismissed it, and I'm glad that I dismissed it because I would be a 22-year-old desperate woman looking for a man. And to me, I don't find, wait, how is that even biblical?
No, because then Jesus wouldn't be Jesus. You understand? That don't make no
Yes.
sense at all. That don't make no sense at all. So, in the case of your partner living a double life, you have to make sure that their speech aligns with their actions. You have to make sure that this person is not one way in front of people and the next way um, by themselves or with you alone, because there are plenty manipulative people walking the church streets.
I feel like you just keep bringing up just everything you, red flag, red flag, red flag.
Yes. And let's go on to that. What are some relationship red flags?
Hmm. Well, I mean, I can't really speak for everybody, right? Um, but one of the like, I'll give you my top three, right? That way everybody could, contribute. My top three is abuse of any kind, and I mean emotional abuse, physical abuse, and also substance abuse. If you are listen,
Sexual abuse.
oh well that too, but I feel like see, you know what? I actually didn't think about that in the thing of of a relationship, which is kind of crazy because you can't be sexually abused in a relationship. You can't be sexually abused in a marriage. So yeah, you know what? I added that one too. Sexually abused, emotionally abused, physically abused, and substance abuse. So that's my first one. Um, Codependency, like to go back to the whole, all right, I am not a whole person, I need you to fulfill me, I need you to make me happy, or to um what's the word, to reassure me, to give me confidence, as if you understand what I'm saying. If you are codependent, that tells me, all right, I can't be with you. If you are constantly looking towards me for validation, I can't be with you, because that's not a healthy relationship. That's not a healthy thing to be a part of in any sense, whether it's friendship, um, marriage, dating, whatever type of relationship. Codependency, no. And then, as to go back to what you said, because you're kind of touching on my top three red flags, the whole manipulation, gaslighting, and then I want to add in the inability to resolve conflict. You see, if I am bringing an issue to you and it's not being dealt with, and okay, I say, all right, the first time, cool, I come back again, and I come back a next time with the same issue. I'm sorry, but after the second or third time, and I'm bringing it to your awareness that, hey, you're really not resolving the issue, so I have to cut you off. I have to say, all right, because that, what am I then putting myself into? How many chances am I gonna give you? And then if I'm look like, my end goal is to then get married, so I'm looking at qualities in you and myself, but qualities in you um that are like husband material, whatever. And codependency, abuse, and the gaslighting, the manipulation, inability to resolve conflict or throw it back on me as if it's my fault.
Yeah, that's gaslighting.
Okay, just a bit. Okay, good. Those are my top three red flags.
I have a red flag. You see the one where we can't be in a relationship unless social media is part of the relationship too.
Oh gosh.
Mm-mm. Not everything we do needs to be documented. Not everybody needs to know our business. And
I
if
agree.
that person feel like we don't have a relationship unless we post something, mm-mm, knock 'em off. You looking for looking for some kind of validation or whatever from social media, and I am just like a muse for you to take pictures with and say that, hey, I am here. No, not on that. The next one, lack of trust.
Ooh,
If you cannot trust yourself, you cannot trust me, and we cannot have a relationship. You need to know how to trust.
True,
Along
true.
with everything that Krista was saying, the abuse, the gaslighting, the over controlling behavior,
ooh,
the narcissism.
oh God, Lord Father.
Father help me. Those are some of my red flags.
some of
I will last.
some of mine are, well, the biggest one for me is no relationship with God. As a matter of fact, I think I reached to the point where is I don't even want your relationship with God to be less than mine. because I am at the point in life where I am, and this is probably sounding very selfish, but I am at the point in time in my life where I need spiritual leadership as well from um whoever I want to be my future husband. You understand? So
With you
if
there.
You mean current? You mean?
With you there.
you know what I mean, as Jade as a single, right? You have to have a relationship with God, and your relationship with God must be one where you can encourage me. And this
Very
is going
important
back to
question.
one of my lives where it is, am I constantly having to encourage you in your relationship with God? Do I constantly have to do that? Like, you can't have a relationship unless I push it or unless I encourage it. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. You understand? If we move in, we move in. If we're doing this thing, we're doing this thing.
I get
Right?
what you're saying. Yeah.
So that is number one for me. Number two is poor hygiene,
Woo. Yeah, boy.
right? 'Cause I don't tell only I like to smell people. So poor hygiene. And next one, poor sense of humor. Because I believe that roasting is a very important part of a healthy relationship. I must be able to roast you. You must be able to roast me. And I don't want, hey, Jane, why you so? Like, no, right? No, cut that out. Also, I can't imagine myself fake laughing for the rest of my life. I young. That's a good 50 years of fake laugh. No.
Okay, but okay, so okay, my definition, just because I want to ask you a question, right?
Mm,
My definition of red flags is something is like, okay, I'm gonna break it down for you, right? This is how I think about it. You have your green flags. Go. Awesome. Cool. We good.
I'm telling I know the question you're going to ask me right now, and I'm telling you I'm not doing it.
That is the girl red flag. So
Listen,
we
let
go
me
to the last
let
one
me
from the top.
ask the question. Listen. I have then you have the little, the yellow amber flags that say, all right, some quirks that you just, need
Who
some
is a red
caveats.
flag, sister?
Listen, but people are people are complex, and it's not just a yes and a no and dies it. Some
Well, is
things
that red,
require
red, or green?
conversation, right?
Thank you, Sean.
I red,
So,
red, or green. And
but
if it's
that is
yellow,
all,
it's red.
that is all,
Thank you,
right?
Sean.
And then for me, it have the red flags, which well I brought up before. So the joking thing is really a red flag. So that's nothing that could be worked on.
Look at me. Look at me. I refuse. I refuse to be fake laughing
Not
for
fake laughing.
50 years.
Listen, I know what I'm saying. I'm saying,
And then
okay, if
your
you bring up
children
the,
have to come out still and like, Mommy, hear this joke. No, I'm going to watch you like,
but I know what I'm saying. I'm saying, okay, if you have a conversation, I say, all right, you're not funny, right? And he works on it somehow. I don't know, but he works. I don't know. He's working on funniness, but
he go to comedian training, comedian academy.
really, but I really love you.
Jade, will you marry me? Tell my joke first.
Ah!
Right? Another one is emotionally unavailable,
Wood.
right? And low emotional intelligence, not mentally stimulating, rushing and pressuring for sex,
Now, oh,
and
that's a whole substance.
insecurities. Those are my red flags, especially the insecurities, because I don't have time to be reassuring you. Well, yeah, my tolerance, my patience, right? You pray for me, guys. But I don't have time to be reassuring you constantly, constantly so. Right?
I have another one. It's a criminal. Sorry. Sorry. Listen, I can't do that. What's called it when you're going to jail for the conjugal visits? I can't do that. I'm sorry. I'm not raising no child with a person, with a man who is, behind bars, who either sold drugs. What kind of role model I have? I looking for my sons. But you already say nothing.
Wait, before you run, say
Eh.
a bank account that is empty. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, my first one is feminist.
Ooh,
Preach.
If you believe you can do everything that I can do, then I don't need you.
or better.
I don't want to feel like I dated myself. You had to contribute something that,
In a feminine way, you have to contribute
yeah,
in
exactly.
femininity.
You had to contribute something in a feminine way. And then too, if you come to talk to me aggressive, then go about your business. Go about your business, because you ain't really know me.
Define aggressive.
Like me in a female form.
Okay.
That makes me
Don't talk to
nervous.
me like that. And I don't know from the time somebody started get aggressive with me, I just shut down one time. So yeah, I ain't, and the reason why I put feminist day is because I was scrolling through Trinidadian TikTok there, and then I realized that there are plenty girls identifying with this feminist thing and they didn't really know what this thing is about.
Hmm.
That is the reason. That is the only reason why I put this as the one of the things on my list, because the list not in order anyhow you take it, right? Um, our next thing is expecting me to be a mind reader. I was never a mind reader. I never will be a mind reader, and I'm not going to try to be a mind reader. If you have something to say, if you want me to do something, say it directly to me. Let me get it out of the way one time. I not going through this run around. If you want me to buy a ring for you, don't be like, hey, this ring's nicer. I go, what you like? So you like it then. So you want me to buy it for you? And then they gonna be like, nah, I don't really want it to know, but it look nice. You're going to drive me up a wall with that. That's going to get me angry, and I'm going to feel like not being around you.
Listen, you're the only one.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, when I'm buying this is three, lazy.
So good.
Lazy
Hmm.
both in and outside the bedroom.
Hmm. Hmm.
But
Right?
if you, anyhow,
Yeah, go ahead. Ask the question.
I got to say, but if you're dating, then anyhow,
Mm.
you had the sex talk. So
Go ahead. No, ask a question.
no, I was gonna say if you're dating them, ideally
Mm.
you ain't know what taking place inside that bedroom. But then I said if you're having the sex talk with the expectations, then I
Yeah,
guess you will know.
yeah,
Would
exactly.
you really know?
Nah, you'll know. You will know.
Right.
You'll know.
If they're lazy?
Yes.
Okay.
The last thing is addictions. Lord up above, God, Heavenly Father is hearing me. I hate when I see a woman put a cigarette in her mouth. That is one thing that I really and honestly hate. Don't do that around me, because I go mark you up one time. Don't come around me with that. That is it. I ain't going too much in depth. I really have a bunch here, but I just say I go narrow it down to the main four now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just to finish off the lies, I have two more. So
Mm.
my boyfriend or girlfriend will change after marriage. A lot of people believe that, but they need to understand that when you're getting married, marry the person for exactly who they are, whether it's good or bad. Now, if they are a bad person and you marry them, then that's your prerogative, right? But Marry the person for exactly who they are because most likely they are not going to change.
No, I
Okay.
disagree
No,
with
I
that.
disagree. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Aaron, you going first or?
100%.
All right. First of all, we all change, right? I am like, if it's change for the like, I married a good guy and then he changed for the bad, that is most likely a lie. Most likely, right? Now, if you married a good person, you have to expect that both of you are going to change. You're going to grow in maturity. You're going to change, and there's certain skills you might develop, or change is inevitable with everybody. So to go into it thinking that there won't be any change at all,
It's
I
a
don't
safe
agree.
way.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying,
Mm.
and I agree with you. Change is inevitable. Everybody will change. But the safest way to approach it is wait now. There's a good chance that this person will not change. If this person is stubborn now, what is the catalyst for changing them? What is the catalyst for change so that they will no longer be stubborn when you get married to them? People
This,
will only
this is
change
just
if they want to, and you had to hope that this person want to.
my thoughts on the issue. If you're dating and the person change within the first year, then they're going to if they change for the better while you're dating, then they're going to change for the better in the marriage. If they change for the worse while you're dating, then they're going to get extremely bad. That is just it. And that is why, this is just me talking here. That is why I believe that it have nobody who actually want to have a lasting marriage should get married within a year.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I agree with that too. I
You
agree
gotta
with
get them people on them some time to really see where they're going and how they're going and how they receive certain things. Watch how they get on if you tell them bad news. Watch how they get on when you're happy about something
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
tell them and how they react. And
when
if they praise you for doing something good, you gotta watch all that.
yeah, when they don't get their way.
Yeah, exactly. All of that. You gotta watch all of that.
See them in all, as well, my friend once said to me, you gotta see them in as many seasons as you possibly can, good and
The
bad,
main
and see how they
the main
respond to
thing for
that.
me, all right, go ahead, Chris.
No, no,
Yeah, the
I'm
main
done.
thing for me is if you and the person have an argument or a falling out, you see if the person sort of jump and they sort of cuss you up or they sort of get abusive and they don't even have a hit, but you see if they put their hand on you and you know that, hey, this could escalate from one thing to the next thing real quick, then you know that, hey, that it's going to get much worse because let me be real, certain people that feel like they own you after marriage.
Hmm,
Basically,
true.
yeah.
So you're putting them through the acid test, yes.
Basically you're pushing them to the acid test.
Now there are some marriages that started off as um 6 month relationships and like they were together for 6 months to get married and it lasting. Yes. But at the end of the day, to just I mean, and then some people could argue that you're never really safer because you never really know somebody until like you live with them, you're married and living with them. Because living with them is one thing. But when you see they have the pressures of actually being married, it's a totally different issue. Right? So you never really know somebody like that until you're married to them. But I mean, yeah, try like aim for more than a year now, in our opinion.
I agree.
Right?
And that's generally speaking, because I think it also depends on um, what you've been through with this person. We're speaking like literally just now about seeing them through every season and whatnot. Most likely, for most people, within a year, you're not really seeing all those things. You're not really going through all those things. Sometimes you're not seeing that person every single day and seeing what that person is like, right? So um, to know when someone, or when it's ready, it's time to get married or whatnot, or when it's time to propose or whatnot. I think you should take those things into consideration. What have I seen with this person? What have I observed with this person in this situation, and that situation? Has the time we've spent together only just been happy, so we've never experienced conflict at all? If so, then I don't think you should be getting married or looking to propose, I should say, right? Because it is important to see how a person reacts when they're under pressure. It's important.
Yes, exactly. And many people think that, they could fix broken people,
Mhm.
but that is not your job. Your job is not to fix anybody, and their job is not to fix you. You understand? Marriage is not a quick fix solution. So, yeah, that's it. I think, honestly, though, I still believe that telling yourself that this person is not going to change is the safe way to do it. And this is why I'm saying this, because if you see a bunch of red flags in that person and you tell yourself, okay, marriage is going to change them into a good person, you are completely wrong.
I
You're
hear that.
completely wrong. So, yeah. And the last one is, wait, now I feel like we do. Yeah, I think, yeah. My boyfriend will change after marriage. She goes to church, but they are not a believer, but they are a believer. Yeah. So, unequally yoked, Shan, we dealt with that.
Yes, I realized we did it.
we, yes, we dealt with that
Through
one.
all almost, I could say, I think most of those things that we just talk about, those lies, had a lot to do with unequally okay. In my
True,
opinion, a lot of it had to do with that.
true, true, true. So, when it comes to relationship expectations, when should we talk? We talked about the sex expectations, but when it comes to the relationship expectations, how soon should we speak about those?
Don't wait.
I would give Shan.
One time,
I
Don't wait.
agree. Yeah.
one time. In a matter of fact, before you even start the relationship,
Hmm.
Yep. In the talking phase, in the linking
Yes.
phase.
Yes.
yeah,
Let me know what's up.
Yeah.
If you
Because
know you coming into this because you just want a little peace, say that.
Exactly.
Don't come and tell me, listen to me talk about relationship and you say, yeah, yeah, yeah. Then when you get your peace, you go on no or something. No,
I agree. I
yeah, I
completely
do it
agree.
one
agree.
time.
I agree. And well,
And
Aaron stole my point, but go ahead, Krista.
no, no, I was just going to add and say, and try to be as clear as possible. If you, because sometimes the guy might be kind of cute, and you're like, listen, let me just tell him this, but yes, I'm looking for a relationship, but let me still talk to him. You understand that type of thing? No. Be clear about, be intentional about what you want and go down that path. Don't, um, excuse me, I need to drink more water. Um, right, be intentional. If it's marriage you're looking for, if you're looking to court somebody and you state that and that is not what they want, move on to the next guy.
Exactly, exactly. But even in considering these relationship expectations, what should we what should we consider before we even bring out these expectations to the other person?
that that none of we ain't perfect.
True, true. And not only that, I am thinking you will tell yourself that, all right, um, by this time, and this time, I need to get XYZ done. But what about the other person?
Absolutely.
What about the other person? We have to consider their timeline as well. You
And it's
understand?
hmm, hmm, hmm,
That's
hmm.
right.
But a lot of people don't consider that. They'll say, well, all right, I am. Well, okay, but I think the timeline expectation would only be a factor, or the topic of the timeline will only be a factor if you are in the relationship already, and if you all have created a certain bond already. Because if you and I don't have any bond at all, we now coming into the relationship, and you don't align with my timeline, and you don't align with my expectations, then I look into press. You understand? I not saying it.
On that question, right? I have a question I want to ask, right? So really and truly, right? Which gender can control whether the relationship is a courting session or a dating session?
I
The
say
male or the
male.
female?
I say male.
No, I
Why?
think both.
No, as in like, sorry, I think I misinterpreted because I'm thinking about marriage, right?
No, but
Because
explain what you mean before we go now. So just explain what you
yeah,
mean.
like I say the male because yes, you both want to get married, but who usually proposes? And who, like, first of all, yes, you both have to come to an agreement. So, like, somebody asks and somebody says yes, and we both say yes, right? Generally, the dude asks. Generally, it's the man that dictates whether he's going to marry, who he's going to marry, whatnot, whatnot. I have not met, no, this is my personal experience. I have not met anybody where the woman has proposed and they were happy. Or they were married,
Okay.
sorry, or they got together and whatnot, whatnot. I've never seen women proposing successfully, which is a yes to that. So that's why I say I guess the men.
So basically, you all are against females proposing.
No, I'm not
Not
against that.
against. Not against. I
I
just
personally will not be doing it, but if somebody
yeah,
wants that, sure.
I'm not against that.
exactly.
It's
Exactly.
2022. Everybody progressive this runs. Get on your knee and get some dirt on your ankles and on your shins and all them things. Like kneel
So
down in red
Aaron,
hands.
Aaron, if a
Kneel
woman
down
was
in red
proposed to you,
hands.
let's say yes. If a woman went
Is
down on
that?
her knee with the ring, would you have said yes?
I can't answer that question.
Okay. Yeah.
I am not proposing to anyone because I am not about that life. I am not proposing
Same.
to
Listen,
anyone.
I know against it. If you want to go down on one knee and propose, by all means, do that.
Okay.
You might just remain there, especially if I want to get married at the point in time. You will just remain right there.
And even if I had to propose to somebody, I standing up and handing you the ring. You ain't getting me to.
My
Okay, so
proposal would be, how about we go to the mall and look for rings today? I would like one.
And
That would
yeah,
be me. Yeah.
I'll be like,
Yeah.
so my question
so
is
when
this
we doing
though.
this?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You finish?
Yeah.
Okay. My question is okay. So who dictated your timeline, or yes, you're like who said, all right, we're going to get married this at this point? Who was the one who in your relationship? Who was that person? Was it you? Was it Aaron? Did you both come to an agreement based on who? Like, yeah.
I mean, let me answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I am a firm believer in telling you what the deal is up front. And I said to him, I said, This is what it is, this is what it isn't. Right? And he told me this is what it is, this is what it isn't. And then he thought that it would have gone his way. And that is all. That is that's the truth.
Yeah, I do agree with that. But we go
But
end the
I
show
have
right here.
proof. I have proof.
I know you don't, but we go end the show right here, right? So thanks everybody for coming out and listening to one interesting person talk, and the rest is very boring because one interesting person at it. You know what I mean now? So thanks for coming to the show, everybody. Thanks for paying attention. We will be back here again next week, Friday. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, right?
Live.
Remember, dear listener, like, subscribe, leave a comment, dislike the video if you don't like the video. Just do something now. Just don't sit down here and just watch people talk. Right?
Yeah,
So enjoy all the night. We'll go see you again next week.
peace.
Bye.